into stream. Yeah. We are live.
Hello.
So we have no viewers at the moment, so we'll just hang out for a second. You would have thought everyone would be waiting to hop on. What did you say?
It always takes me a little while to let people know that you're here, and then they need to press the button.
Yeah, and you never know who's got the alerts and everything, all that shenanigans.
Yeah.
So you're going horse riding after this?
I am.
Riding a horse?
All in preparation for Santorini next week.
Oh wow! So you what, trekking, horse trekking, pony trekking in Santorini?
So I'm hosting a retreat for 20 women out there next week.
Oh yes, it's the retreat.
And one of the activities that we are doing is a sunset beach trek on horseback.
Oh.
And so I wanted to be able to ride properly. So I started learning in January so that I could ride a horse on the beach.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Hello, Nadia. Hello, Steve. Long time no see. It's good to see you, mate. We need to catch up.
Mm.
Santorini retreat, horses.
More planned in the next year.
Wow, that's amazing.
So Dubai, Finland, and Bali.
Oh,
yes, Nadia.
A mixture of that. I too have ridden a horse on a beach, Nadia, in an island, and it was like the sort of quintessential cantering through the water thing. Oh my God, so cool.
See, that's what I'm wanting to do. That's the image I have in my mind, is cantering through the shoreline.
Oh, in the sunset. Oh, God. Anyway, let's crack on before I get too immersed in that image. So, hey, no worries, Steve. Catch it on the replay. It'll be on the YouTube channel. I'm a Showmaster Chief Rebel. I don't even know my own title now. So, welcome to. Oh gosh, I need to stop this music. It's all a little bit much, isn't it? Stop music now. I forgot that was even on. I was getting all excited about horses and things.
You need that little DJ thing of being able to fade it.
Yeah, fade it out. We need Caroline here, don't we? So, welcome to Jodie and I generally chit-chatting nonsense. But now we're going to chit-chat good stuff, right? Mm. So, this is Jodie Soul. Jodie is someone I've known for a long time and is also an assertiveness coach for women, entrepreneurial extraordinaire.
Oh no, not wonderful.
I think that's what you are, though. And the mastermind behind the phenomenon that is WOMANIFEST. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're not aware of what WOMANIFEST is, then you're going to find out here and now. And if you are aware of it, then it's just only going to create more of a buzz for you in your mind. So WOMANIFEST is described as a personal development, well-being and empowerment festival for women, which I think is, it's a good title, but actually it nowhere near covers the amazingness that's actually going to happen. Let me tell the world a little bit about you. So I checked out your website before, even though I know what you do, I thought I'd get the official Jen, right? And I proper loved what was on it when you described what you do, because it's absolutely spot on. So on your website, it says that you help women rediscover their true identity, find their voice, step into their own authentic space, figure out what they want, that's a biggie, and then go out and get it. And you are absolutely an action taker and a go-getter. You are also a glass ceiling smasher, boys club navigator, credibility champion, and influencer extraordinaire.
That's it.
And you're on a mission to create a guilt-free army of liberated women living their best lives. Boom.
Boom. yeah, that stuff.
Now that's easier said than done, isn't it?
It is. It's taken me 25 years to gather all this stuff together to be able to do it. So yeah, it's been a life's work, let's say.
Yeah, and it is this sort of expert by learned experience thing, isn't it? To get to the sort of place that you're in and I'm in, you have to have lived the pain sometimes to be able to help others through their pain.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
to self-therapize as well at the same time, or self-liberate. So just a little warning before we go any further, we may talk about vulvas today, folks.
Yeah.
So be aware of that. That's going to get interesting. We'll come back to that in a moment. So as I say, Jodie and I have known each other for a long time. We used to work together. In fact, Jodie used to manage me and probably nearest wrangle me.
Yeah, you were a bit unmanageable at that time.
I was very unmanageable.
I attempted to and failed miserably, but you know, that's all right.
I was a pain in the arse, is what she really means. And I'm not saying I'm not.
It must have been worthwhile, whatever it was, because look where you've ended up now, doing what you love and the stuff that you are really, really good at. So it all charted its path for you.
It totally did. And, you know, it was really worthwhile because I often tell stories about the way I used to be back in the day. And you feature in my mind when I talk about those things, because I remember you struggling to give me feedback that I really needed, and, you know, sort of probably banging your head against a brick wall and sticking your head above the parapet waiting for me to shoot you down because I was so negative. And I know you really cared, but it must have been bloody hard at times.
It was, but so in comfort to you, you weren't the only one, and it's a lot harder than you. But you know, in terms of, for me, that made it like even bigger than what it might appear in that sense. So yeah, tough time, but certainly character building, let's call it.
Oh yes, I bet. And you know, we've both evolved a lot since then. We've both learned a lot.
Yeah.
So tell us kind of how you've come to where you're at now, and how that leads then to creating WOMANIFEST.
All right. Okay. So I'm getting good now at doing this one in a bit of a nutshell, whistle stop tour. So, yes, you know, it's a whole bunch of lived experience, but off the back of that lived experience, going and doing the research and the almost official development to put the badge on to do this. So, you know, as Emma's describing there, went through quite a tricky time as a leader of people, and not just in that one set of circumstances, in a few different places actually. And I was quite young, wasn't I, Emma? Really, I thought I was a grown up. I was only 26.
We all did.
I look back and I think, bloody hell, who gives you a job like that when you're 26? That wasn't very smart, was it? But never mind. But what it did was it got me to think about how I needed to develop my skill sets to handle some of these situations, right? And so I took myself off to London on an assertiveness course for the day that cost me £2,000, right? So it's a big investment for me at 26, £2,000. The train ticket to London's 400 flipping quid, for God's sake, from round here. So it was a big investment, but it liberated me. And actually, it gave me very practical things that I could do immediately and that worked. And so that's when I felt like I finally started to have a bit more influence and control in certain situations. Then I took a bit of a sidestep. I needed some time on my own, let's say, to not be a people leader and just lead myself and develop my craft back in a learning and development field. So I kind of moved into leadership development, and I qualified as an executive coach and then spent time coaching senior leaders. And that's where the two fused, because where I got the most joy was in spending time coaching the very few women that were in those senior leadership spaces. I was coaching a lot of men who didn't really want me there. I know that's a broad sweeping statement, but generally I wasn't as well received, let's say. And it wasn't the same kind of conversation. You know, the men conversation was about the work stuff, and that's where it stopped. The coaching conversations with the women became whole life conversations. And a lot of it was to do with them becoming more assertive, you know, being able to develop their credibility, their influence, speak up for themselves, own that space. And that's where I fell in love with it. And then, you know, I'm a mum of 3 girls. And on the birth of that 3rd daughter, I was lucky enough at that point to get the opportunity to take redundancy. And that's when I decided to spread my wings and live the freelance life doing what I loved. That was 12 years ago, and kind of not looked back since.
Not had a proper job since.
started a proper shop since, but WOMANIFEST is about, obviously I run this business online, like you run the Rebel Yell Club online. And what I learned from my kids, this is a lesson from the kids, was the kids loved watching CBeebies, right? Flipping love CBeebies every day of the week. But they got to go to CBeebies live once, right? And they got to meet Mr. Tumble and Mr. Maker. And that was like, wow. And actually that made me think, I need to take this stuff that I do online and I need to make it all about an in real life experience and event. And that's CBeebies is the reason that WOMANIFEST exists.
Wow, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I love that.
I like full moment watching In the Night Garden, which is a bit trippy when you realise your kids have left the room and you've been sat there for 20 minutes on your own watching Upsy Daisy and whoever else. Yeah.
Tell you what I find the most trippy. What's the little house with the family in? It's like the red family and the blue family.
Probably Booze.
Yeah, it might be that. Yeah. I know that it's the summer.
Oh, you're on about the Pontypines, the one that's sort of like
Pontypines. Yes.
In their beds. Yeah, they're the Pontypines. There you go.
It's proper trippy. Whoever created that, well, all credit to you.
Yeah, definitely.
So WOMANIFEST, give us a little synopsis of what WOMANIFEST is, but also why it's so important to you. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, top line, it is personal development, well-being and empowerment for women predominantly. That doesn't mean that you can't come if you're not a woman or you don't identify as a woman. You are still welcome. It is about celebrating all things female, feminine and womanly. So if you're a bit of a woman hater, no, it's not for you. But if you don't identify as a woman, but you still love women, you want to champion women, you want to support gender equality, then by all means you can come along and take part. But yes, it's primarily about giving women an experience of something a bit different, right? Something that will almost, and this is a bit of feedback we got from the first WOMANIFEST. One woman said, do you know what? I walked out feeling like a different woman than when I walked in.
That's bloody powerful, isn't it?
And so I've hung my hat on that ever since.
Oh yeah.
And there are 5 words, 5. This is the checklist, the set of 5 criteria that anything that goes on there has to do at least one of these 5 things. The first one is, does it educate about women's issues? The second one is, does it empower them? So does it feel like it, gives women something that they can do something with? The third one is, does it entertain? It's no boring conference or corporate bullshit. It's a full-on, it is a festival, right? So it is about entertaining and having fun and lots of belly laughs. The fourth one is, does it inspire? Yeah. And then the last one, my favorite one, which is how I felt when I walked away from that assertiveness course. And that is, does it liberate? Does it create a sense of freedom, of liberation, of unshackling and allowing women to kind of spread their wings and go after the things that they deeply desire, which for a lot of women they've buried for a long time because, well, that's not for women like me, is it? Or, well, I've got all this to deal with now, so maybe I've got on that. And so, yeah, that's fundamentally what it's about. As many different interesting, taboo, controversial, unique experiences, talks, workshops that we can to give women just an epic weekend.
It's fascinating to me actually because there's there's a number of things in that. The fact that you've never been frightened about addressing taboo things, you sort of face them head on, point to the elephant in the room, and I massively admire that. I think that's genuinely, a rebellious spirit. And probably why you and I have gravitated back, into each other's lives after so many years. But also, these almost guiding principles for making decisions about what's in or out from WOMANIFEST. And it must be really hard not to kind of go, oh, I've got this idea, and then just try and do everything. But also be quite, ruthless about things that aren't quite aligned and so on.
Actually makes it really easy.
Yeah. So gives you that framework, doesn't it, to make those decisions on like its guiding principles. I mean, this is a massive feat, right? Let's make no bones about it. What you've tackled here, and what you originally tackled in 2020, which was, by the way, a few days before lockdown, and I can't believe how incredibly timed that was. It was just madness, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't really know what was coming, to be fair. I was being blasé about it at the time, but yeah, I'm glad I didn't know.
Now, I remember saying to you at that one, I very, very vividly remember saying to you, I'm telling you, mate, this is going to outgrow the Hilton. And I think it, what you've transformed it into this year, into an actual, full-on festival feel, it feels absolutely right.
Yeah.
For the vibe. And I know only a fraction of what you have taken on here. And I can only imagine how huge it is behind the scenes in terms of all the work that you're putting into this. And I know you've got a team of people that are helping you, but bloody hell, this is, I mean, in terms of how much I, admire your tenacity and courage and just the sheer energy you've got to do this. It's, people say they're going to do this kind of thing, don't they, one day, and then they never do it. Yeah. So what is it that drives you to keep going with this? Because it's, let's face it, it's flipping scary stuff in it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna lie, some nights it keeps me awake, right? But it's when you're purpose-led in your work, purpose and passion-led in your work, it puts the fire in your belly from I don't know where, right? If it wasn't passion and purpose-led, I wouldn't be doing it. And I think that's the difference. I'm deeply connected to this.
Yeah.
Primarily because, number one, right, this is a really selfish drive behind this. And I'm putting on, or I have put on and will put on, an event that is made for me. Yeah. I put things on that I want and I need in my life to help me feel like I'm living a happy, fulfilling, and successful life as a woman, right? And I know there are millions and millions of people out there who are just like me. They might not look like me. They might not live their life the same way as me, but they've kind of got the same shit going on in their life, right? And they need and want the same things as me too. A, they might not know it. B, they might know it, but they're too scared to say they want it. And so I want to make it all right and give those people permission to say, I want a bit more of that too. The secondary reason is because I'm a mum to 3 teenage girls. You know what? And actually, as I was growing up, I had no clue the degree of sexism that I was experiencing. And a lot of things that went on were I took them as they were acceptable to happen.
Systemic, right? Weren't they?
Yeah. Whereas now I look back and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It's not okay. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let that continue and for that experience to happen for my girls and the girls to come in the next generation. And so that's a big part of this is about showing them the way this stuff gets done, the way women hold themselves, the way we put ourselves out there, the expectations that we set and the boundaries that we have and the demands that we make, just like anybody else does. So it's not about saying we get to do more than anybody else, that we're more special than anybody else, but we have all of those rights too. Yeah. And it's almost time. I love a good march, a good demonstration, a good protest, a nice petition. But you know what? Look how far we've come in 100 years. It's pretty decent, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's going to take another 320 years at this rate to get gender equality. Can't wait that long because guess what? I won't be here. And I need to see this.
Neither will you girls.
No. And so action, like you said, we're action takers. Action speak louder than words. Protesting, it gets attention, doesn't necessarily move stuff quick enough for me. Women or champions of women, it's time for us to start putting our money where our mouth is and walk and talk and drive the change, not just ask for it.
I totally agree with that. That sort of, walk the talk. Role modeling thing is one of the most impactful things you can do to change anything, actually. And particularly when it comes to our young ladies that are growing up in the world and are going to be our future leaders, future pioneers, future, future old ladies. And speaking of which, there's a very, very important cause that's benefiting from what WOMANIFEST, isn't there?
Yeah.
Called Girls Out Loud.
Girls Out Loud, yeah. Social enterprise. So a bit, kind of our charitable beneficiary for the event. Nice one, Nadia. I'm made up with that. Yes, so they are an organisation that supports specifically teenage girls. All right. So this is very niche. So teenage girls between the ages of 12 and 17. And it's for the girls in the middle, right? So normally when we do stuff like this, we're helping either the girls who are really struggling, there are safeguarding issues surrounding them, or there's all these gifted and talented programs for the high performing girls. The girls in the middle who sit nicely, who don't make a fuss, who do as they're told.
Don't get noticed.
Don't get noticed. And
I love that.
Their potential. Their self-belief is on the floor, their anxiety is on the roof, and we've got to bridge that gap for them. So Girls Out Loud runs mentoring programs. We go into schools and we do loads of workshops to really drive up self-belief, tap into their potential, and get them set up away from academia. Don't get me started on that, right?
Same.
With the skills for them to live their life.
Yeah.
And so, our job is so the festival's job is to give them an experience. So this isn't just for adults. Teenage girls between the ages of 12 and 17 are welcome at the event. We want lots of them to come. And Girls Out Loud will have their own tent with lots of experiential activity going on for them.
Amazing.
That is the big cause.
I think I was probably in that category when I was younger. Nadia's saying perhaps for them as well.
Me too. I wish I'd have had it.
Yeah, I was a good girl. I did my homework on time. I behaved well, but I wasn't very academic. I was probably brighter than I really gave myself credit for. In fact, looking back at my school reports, it seems to suggest that. But I was just kind of allowed to stay in that middle category, and I just felt like part of the scenery a lot of the time, which is probably the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, really. But it's an amazing cause, and I think I've ever since I heard about it, this 2020 WOMANIFEST, I've thought, do you know what, at some point it's going to be absolutely right for me to do the whole big sister thing as well.
That's what I want to do, right? So it costs £1,000 per big sister. So a big sister is that's the mentoring program. So we allocate a person, like me, like Emma, like any of you, gets matched with a little sister. So a girl in school, a year 8. You mentor her through year 8 and year 9. And you have a 12-month relationship. For you to mentor her through that time. And it costs £1,000 per big sister to train up.
That's proper training, isn't it? That you need to do that. Which is
we're trying to raise money for that. I'd love to do a full cohort. That'd be 20 women each school year. We try and put 20 women into each school. So I'd love it to raise 20 grand for them. My business sponsored that whole program for a specific school for that year.
That's so exciting, and the ripple effects of that. It's not just 20 kids, 20 teenagers, 20 young women, it's all the people whose lives they'll touch. Thank you very much, Nadia. It's a very nice compliment. So give us some highlights, some of the things that are going to happen at WOMANIFEST that you're most excited about.
Okay, so loads of things going on. Some of the most exciting ones, I think, is some of the experiences that will happen. So you'll be able to walk on hot coals with your teenage daughter for free. So that's a really empowering experience to break through some of your fears. You can also do it on broken glass. We're doing lots of meditation and breath work. So if anyone's been watching Wim Hof's Freeze the Fear, one of my friends is an accredited Wim Hof instructor. So she'll be doing some breath work sessions, and you will be able to ice dip at the event and experience cold therapy, which is brilliant. I've already had to go that. It is brilliant. We've got some amazing speakers on the main stage, loads of performances. We've got singers, we've got dancers, we've got all kinds of things.
Yeah, Caroline Kell from DJ.
We've got silent disco, so empowering Saturday night tunes. We've got a fashion show about dressing everyday bodies and dressing the body.
That. You've always been a big, advocate of that, haven't you? Dressing for the body that you've got and feeling really good. And
you can, not saying, oh, well, when I've lost 2 stone or when this happens, then I'll buy myself this, or no, right? You've got the body you've got, right? It's your vehicle for life. Get on with it. It's fine the way it is.
Celebrate it.
Yes, and you can still look and feel $1 million, even if maybe if your body needs a bit of maintenance, it's still fine. And when I say maintenance, I mean from a health perspective and a strength perspective. Important. And then most important, we've got lovely people like you. So I am delighted that Emma is going to be talking on the main stage at the event. Dress in the moment. And your topic is really important. So actually, you tell everybody a little bit about what you're about and why they need to come and listen to it.
Look at you flipping the table skillfully.
Later, just like you.
My talk is something that it actually birthed itself at the 2021, because I remember looking at people on the stage and yourself and Roxy actually as well. I was brewing it during Roxy's talk, and I was looking at it and thinking that I so want to do this next time. I so want to do this. And I immediately knew that the thing to talk about would be about my experiences of being single. I'm 44 this week, and I've lived most of my adult life single or some form of being single. That's a whole load of stories behind that. And some of which I wouldn't tell my mum, but actually I probably would. It's been a strange experience in the sense that there's been a lot of judgment from society. There's been certain behaviours from people around me, and perceptions that I'm aware of in terms of the fact that I'm essentially a big old spinster now. And I want to talk about breaking the rules of being single, because, and in brackets, and how to become a kick-ass independent woman, because that's, I've realised that's what I've had to become. Luckily, I've got a great support network, but being single in your 30s and 40s is can be a very lonely and singling out, no pun intended, experience. There's all sorts of things to navigate with it, and I know relationships are hard, and I also want to talk about that, what a healthy, functional relationship looks like to me. So it's really important to me that.
And so I hope people can see why, a big part of this event is around inclusivity. When I say that, and I don't just mean in terms of race or sexuality or gender, that not just the obvious things, or disability. Yes, it's about those things, but it's also about, like Emma showing up as an independent single woman and showing that that's okay, right? That's normal.
And I might still want a +1 invite just because I haven't got a boyfriend. Doesn't mean that I don't want a +1.
Absolutely. And there's women who have been widowed really young, and what that's like, and exploring grief around some of those things.
Or having your entire life in one relationship and then suddenly realizing that you want to leave that. Or that it's come to an end for some reason and you're newly single. It's really, it's a really, for me, a major topic, this kind of idea of self-partnering, either by choice or by the fact that that's your circumstances. And I want to make people feel much more empowered around that, and much more valid, because we are a 100% of a human being, not one half waiting for another half, which is what I always talk about. Totally.
And even through to a diversity angle, women with ADHD, You know, women who suffer with endometriosis or are perimenopausal, or all of these things. It's about doing all of these things and having an open mind. It might not be like you, right?
Yeah.
And it might not be your opinion.
Yeah.
One big thing I want from this event is the one sad thing I still find about groups of females, I'll say, might not be the right term that I would probably use, given it a bit more thought. But we can be our own worst enemies. We can be quite bitchy and backstabby. If somebody believes or has an opinion that is different to ours. And what I hope for out of this event is that people can be open-minded enough to genuinely and curiously listen to somebody else's perspective and just and accept that as being valid. Have an attempt to have a peek through what that looks like through their lens. And then by all means, you can go back to your own lens, that's fine. But don't have anything shitty to say about that. Go home and say, wow, I've learnt today.
I love that so much, Jodie. This is why this WOMANIFEST aligned so much for me with my value system, the whole rebel thing, that it's about being curious. It's about being prepared just to listen. Like you say, just peek through. Let's just have a little look and see if there's another way that we could possibly think, or at least, you know, be open to the fact that people think differently.
Yeah.
So speaking of things that are sometimes taboo, and we talked earlier about celebrating our bodies, let's talk about vulvas.
About vulvas.
What's going on there?
So, very much linked to what I talked about earlier. I know a lot of women, and actually this is not just women. The correct term here is people.
People.
There are a lot of people who are vulva owners. All right. So this is, this is part of this inclusivity piece that I'm still learning about to get the language right too. But I am curious and I want to learn and I want to get it right. Is that actually for many of us, we don't have a great relationship with our body in general, but specifically our genitals. And we can't, you know what? They're not easy to see when they're underneath. They don't belong on the front like our male counterparts, where they're easy to look at. There's a lot of us that have not got a very good relationship with our own. Either we're too scared to look and we don't want to know, or we've had a look and we don't like it, or we don't feel like it's normal. And because of the Girls Out Loud piece and the teenage girl angle, I really want to show them, because the charity have done a load of research, and some of the biggest influences on our teenagers at the moment, there's 3. Number 1 is smart technology, always on. Our teenagers can get to each other morning, noon and night. Not like when we used to go home from school and that was it till tomorrow. So there's that. The second one is reality TV. So reality TV painting a very unrealistic view of what a normal body should look like. Yeah. And then the third one is porn. All right. Yeah. And because porn is so accessible online now, I think the statistics say the average boy in particular is regularly watching mainstream porn by the age of 11.
Wow.
However, that porn is not the stuff we used to find and have a giggle about in a magazine that we found under our brother's or our dad's bed.
Yeah.
Okay? It's quite hardcore.
Yeah.
And the women,
a lot of it's very degrading, quite abusive, and there's
to whoever is in the more feminine role, let's say, in that, if that's the case.
Yeah.
But actually, the bodies, they're not what everyday bodies look like. They've been modified significantly.
Oh yeah.
And so I think we owe it to our teenagers, boys, girls, those that identify with no gender whatsoever. It really doesn't matter. We owe it to all of them to show them that they're all unique. Every single one is different, and yet they are all normal. And so at the event, we will be hopefully having a bit of an art exhibition, which will be 100 body casts of vulvas. So I'm looking for 100 vulva owners. Sounds like it's a car, doesn't it? A Volvo owner, a vulva owner.
Very different target market, though.
It is. Yeah, different. looking for 100 vulva owners to.
You can have a Volvo as well as a vulva, though. And
yeah, you can. Yeah, just, the vulva's cool, the Volvo's not that cool. I will be judgmental. No, I'm just kidding. I loved a Volvo that I had once. But yeah, we want 100 people to volunteer to have theirs cast and allow it to go on display for the weekend. You get to keep it afterwards.
I keep meaning to do this. Genuinely, I will do that. Listen, I've committed now twice on a StreamYard interaction. So
this is harder than I thought it was. So I've had mine done. My event planners had hers done. We went all the way to Brighton to the artists' studio to do that, which don't expect everybody to go to Brighton. You can buy a DIY kit from her. It's 67 quid, I think. With the postage is a bit hefty. It turns out about 75 quid, but it does 2. Now you don't have to do it together unless you want to.
And if you've got more than one vulva, then you're doing well.
I'm looking for people to participate in that. So if you're brave enough, put yourself forward.
Just a selfie of like 2 of you going, hey.
with like a gin and tonic in one hand and your plaster of Paris. Yeah. Well, just so everybody knows, it doesn't hurt if you are somebody who has a bit of bush. Don't worry, it doesn't pull the pubes out. It's absolutely fine. It's all good. It's like stuff. If you've ever had impressions of your teeth done, right. It's like that. Feels gorgeous when you pour it on.
If you're on the exhibition, you don't have to have your name in it or anything like that.
No name.
We could guess the vulva.
Like baby photos, isn't it? Guess the baby photo. No. Literally, you'll have a number, so only you will know your own number, and you get the right one back.
Yeah. I do love this idea, because for a number of reasons. One, because we do need to talk more about this kind of stuff. We have body parts. We should, just be cool with that. But also because it's a lovely mixture of humor with, being actual art and seriousness behind it, and it's just a really good vibe, and it absolutely speaks to what WOMANIFEST is about. I just think it's brilliant. So we're running out of time a little bit. There's an offer on at the moment. There's sort of a focus, isn't there, for Jubilee at the moment? What are the offers that people can get if they're interested in coming to?
So May's offer finishes today, right? So that is 3 for 2 on all weekend tickets, and that includes VIP tickets. So you could save 199 quid if you buy today, if there's 3 of you that want to come. From tomorrow, 1st of June, and Jubilee wise, I think we'll be going to, I'll be doing, because it's obviously a 70th Dubry. Dubry. I'm sure she won't approve of Dubry.
It rhymes with Dubry, Jubilee.
It was along those lines. Then there'll be 25% off all tickets.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Or it will be capped at 70.
We've also not talked about the fact that it's on a glamping site, so you can glamp. You can camp. You can stay in a hotel nearby, and there's offers. Is it a Best Western nearby? You can get a discount code if you mention WOMANIFEST, or you can just go in and out, on the Saturday and Sunday, or either. You want to go on the Sunday because there's this great speaker called Emma Shaw, Chief Rebel, on the Sunday. But there's lots of options for people to stay, and all of that's on the website as well, isn't it? Yeah. You also do a Festival Friday live every week, don't you? What time is that normally that you do that?
Normally 12:30-ish.
Normally 12:30. And where can people tune into that?
Straight on the WOMANIFEST Facebook page.
On the WOMANIFEST page. So go join that, people. I'd be really interested, to see if there are any sort of high school age boys that go. I think that would be really fascinating, because I think that could actually be really good for the cause as well, to help teenage boys understand the whole female stuff. By the way, you'll see a link on this StreamYard now. If you want to buy tickets, please, I would really love you forever if you bought them through my link, through my affiliate link, because that's important for me as a speaker, in order to support the cause. And also, there is a slot available if you would like to sponsor my talk.
Please sponsor Emma's talk.
Sponsor Emma's talk. There is a slot available for you to do that, and it's actually very, very easily accessible to do it. So come and talk to me if you're interested, or if you know a really great business or cause that would be a great sponsor for my talk. So Joe, so you've got horse riding to do in a minute. Any last messages you want to get out there about WOMANIFEST before we let you trot away?
Before we let you canter off into the sunset. Just to, come and experience it. If it sounds like it's a bit for you, what a few people say to me is, oh yeah, I like the sound of something like that, but I don't know whether it's for people like me. It is. The answer is just it is.
There's all sorts there, isn't there? I mean, the 2021, I remember looking around and thinking, wow, this is so cool. There is a lot of, and mostly women or people who identify as females, but actually there was a lot of diversity within that.
Yeah, and everybody's welcome.
Yeah, and I love that. I really think that's a really interesting facet of it, that it's about celebrating women rather than it being for women.
Yes. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much, Jodie. And any questions you've got about WOMANIFEST, give Jodie a shout. There's a great website, and obviously come and talk to me if you're interested in sponsoring. Thank you, Nadia. Great interview comment there. Good stuff. Right then. We will see you all soon, rebels in the world. And thank you very much, Jodie. I've really enjoyed this.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
Good. I'll see you in the green room in a minute.